Okay, everybody, let's get started. Um, where are we? So it's great everyone here already. Everyone settled down. I hope the audio is all right. If there is whistling, squealing, ringing, and if it's not very good, please let me know. Otherwise, we'll just continue ahead. Now, you're in for a little treat. I'm gonna share my camera. Are you ready? Ah, what is that? That is a keyboard. Um, oh, while we're on camera, this is a little rock that was given to me during a time of crisis by a dear friend. He was into his rock collection, and I keep, obviously it's a present, but it has a bit of sentimental value because it reminds me to be a bit of a rock, and that is a 3D printed candle holder I designed, so it can sit there to remind us to have fortitude and resilience, but you know to have minerals and crystal. I'm not even sure what kind of rock it is exactly, but it's got sparkly bits in it. Some sort of mineral rock or something. And apologies for the gloves, but it's still cold. And in the spirit of Mr. Hate Vicious, so shout out to Mr. Hate Vicious. Now today's stream. Hold on a second. So digital parenting is the topic, and hopefully I'm going to try and keep this concise, so it might not be here for too long. But today I went to pick up the kid. Yes, you. And my kid brought me this. Go on, go get it. Go get it. There we are. There we go. That's what the kid gave me. And immediately I saw the word digital parenting. And I said, oh, that's going straight in the bin. And the kid was like, no, mine. So the kid wouldn't let me throw it in the bin. Now, as you can see, I've tried to protect the anonymity of those involved. And it's sponsored by that 10 years help. I'm not sure if you can read the words, but I'll read it out anyway. 10 years helping families enjoy a happier, safer digital life by a phone company beginning with V. And the faces are supposed to be happy. Now, I'm sorry about the glare, but now I haven't obviously I got it today, so I already glanced over it. I haven't completely read it. I don't particularly want to have to read it. This is the preface. Don't get it into shot a little. So, welcome to Digital Parenting, your family's guide to a smart life with technology, by Catherine someone. We won't, head of sustainable business. Right. So, I'll quickly fly through it, basically, and sort of give you my opinion as I'm reading it. So it's a little bit like real time parental reaction, at least from my perspective. I don't know about the other people, other parents. And or I mean, with the like, this thing is how many pages long? 23 pages. 23. It's like a booklet. And with all the glitz and glamour, I already know some sort of swindling is going to be involved here. So I'm a bit hesitant. What is it they're going to try and sell me, kind of thing? So sharing music instantly, sending uplifting Instagram photos, and swapping silly Snapchat filtered photos are all regular occurrences in my family, as I'm sure they are in many others. But can I show you something funny on TikTok? It's a phrase I can't imagine ever saying to my mum when I was a teenager. Now, with that, so I mean, my kid never doesn't do that kind of thing. So, what is this? What children are doing now? They're going up to their parents saying, "Mummy, Daddy, look what I've found on TikTok." And I mean, what the hell are they doing on TikTok anyway? So I'd be alarmed. I wouldn't think this would be something amusing. I'd be a bit cautious if my kid was to suddenly say to me, "Oh, guess what I've been doing behind your back without you knowing? I've been on TikTok." Because the world of parenting has changed completely in a single generation through the advent of digital technology, we're celebrating the 10th anniversary of our digital parenting magazine. So this has been kicking around for 10 years. First time I've heard of it. A huge anniversary that marks a decade-long commitment by Thou Who Shall Not Be Named to helping parents. I'm going to have to cover that with my thumb. The helping parents and carers navigate the highlighted uncharted waters of raising kids against a backdrop of rapidly evolving tech. We've distributed almost 9 million magazines to schools and parents over that period. Kid, can you give me a pen so I can just cross this out? 1 second. On the fly editing. Right, you can scribble on there. There you go. Scribble that out. Thank you. Right. So they're acknowledging that things are changing rapidly. And this organization is, I suppose, trying to keep ahead of it. Now, the thing is, if this was coming from a place of humility, as in like dire situations, a little bit doom and gloom, I suppose, but like, see, I'm a bit mixed feelings towards this idea of digital. Initially, I thought, oh my God, they're going to try and replace the parents with digital parents. This is now going to be, air quote, like quality time with your children is going to be digitalized. But then, with a bit of appreciation, you could consider that for some parents, it might be all they've got, especially if parents are separated, one is far away, then the only way of sort of having face-to-face, unfortunately, would be most likely like a digital form. So, I can't be too angst about that sort of thing. Like, it can help where otherwise complete absence would be present. It doesn't make quite sense. Absence be present. But I think you get what I mean. Like in dire situations, it's like if we could have it another way, then that would, like, as in like face to face in person, then that'd be great. But if for whatever circumstances this is all that could be attained, then sort of so be it. Like, kind of reminds me of that movie Moon, where the guy is on the moon and he obviously he can't see his daughter. It's a sad movie. It's a great movie, but there's a little moment there where he sort of FaceTimes his now grown up daughter. He's missed out on the years. Very emotional scene. Now I'm sure, he wouldn't really want that situation to be like that if he could have avoided it. But the way this brochure thing is kind of portraying things, and I don't know if you can already sense it. They're celebrating the idea, like this is a wonderful thing as an alternative to actually, like, the opportunity for parents to parent is there, but this is an alternative to doing your duties as a parent, and it's something we should celebrate. We should celebrate poor parenting skills. We should celebrate being lazy and not spending time with your kids. Like, don't worry, there is digital technology that will take care of your parental duties on your behalf. That's the sort of defensive posture I see this so far, but we shall continue. So somewhere about Right, against the backdrop of rapidly evolving tech, we've distributed over 9 million magazines to schools and parents over that period. I've been involved with the magazine for the past 5 years, and as a parent myself, have found the process of bringing it to life both cathartic and informative. Now, I've highlighted the word cathartic. Why would that be? Why would that be cathartic to you? Like, so bringing this dire information, I mean, this is depressing information that we are losing the children to technology, or that we are having to use technology to fill in the gaps and the voids. This isn't something that should really be celebrated. This is something that should be grieved, because a special time in the child's life is being lost here. And this person, who's a parent themselves, is finding it cathartic. So that expression here fills me with disgust. It's so wonderful to know each of us isn't alone in not being able to keep up with the latest trends. Like, I don't really give a rat's backside about the latest trends. This isn't some sort of fashion parade. Anyway, like, I suppose this is more of a case of the fear of missing out or being left behind to everyone else. So this is like a survivalistic attitude, where if you're left behind, then you're not doing so well. You need to be ahead of the game, so therefore you need to be up to date with the latest trends, so that you're hip and popular and numero number one. The number of eye rolls I get from kids over dinner is staggering. Yes, because kids don't like, kids they don't really enjoy you stepping on their toes. I'm deeply grateful that I've had the benefit of raising my children whilst highlighted, also working on a program that helps me figure things out as I go. Very telling, that sentence. So, look, the benefit of raising my children whilst. How are you doing both of that? How can you be raising them if you're occupied doing something else? Or if you are, you're not raising them to the best of you that you can, because your attention is being divided. But this is a case of wanting your cake and being able to eat it. So they want to raise their kids, supposedly raise their kids, whilst being able to work on whatever projects, as it helps them figure things out as they go. So they're winging it. So they're winging their project. No doubt they're winging their parenting as well. I'll always make mistakes as a parent. Now, we all make mistakes, yes, but they put I'll always make mistakes. It's like, you're getting anything right then. But that's okay. No, it's not okay. No, it's not okay. If you're always making mistakes, something, but that's okay. That's okay, because I'm not the one that's going to suffer. It's going to be the kids. And what do I got things to keep me distracted as I go along. It's cathartic for me. We're all learning and finding our way through together. That's what digital parenting is all about. I hope you find this edition useful. Let us know what you think by tweeting a la-di-da address. So little plugs. So we've got a table of contents. So that's the introduction. What are we in for? What are the kids talking about? Now, I could tell you what the kids are talking about without having to read this. They're talking about Squid Games. They're talking about Roblox. They're talking about Minecraft. They're talking about Street Fighter. They're talking about movies. Today, while I was being given this by my kid, the kids were talking about that horror movie. Shall I say the name of the movie? Megan, the horror movie. I'm pretty sure rated for 18, but they were like, "Oh, guess what I watched?" And the teacher was a little bit, "You shouldn't really be watching that." But that's what the kids are talking about. Are they going to mention that in here? Let's find out. As an online safety organization, it's been fascinating for us at Digital, oh, maybe I shouldn't have said that, to see just how much our relationships with technology have changed since the start of the COVID-19. We've learned how to work, learn, socialize, shop, entertain ourselves, and much, much more in ways that would have been unrecognizable pre-pandemic. So let me just you cover that a second while I scribble. Oh man, it's kind of like, what's the point of me scribbling this stuff out? You scribble it out. What's the point of me scribbling this? I can't see. Scribble, scribble, scribble. What's the point? Yeah. Anyway, pretend that wasn't there. So yeah, lots of change since. I mean, and this pandemic thing was, within 2 to 3 years. But isn't it wonderful? Isn't it all bliss? There's no drawbacks, nothing to be concerned about here. Having spoken to young people throughout this time, it's been remarkable to discover how well they've adapted. I've highlighted the word adapted to this ever-changing digital landscape. I mean, that should be no surprise that kids are going to be adaptive. Their young minds, and just as a general principle of young minds learning, they're quick to pick up new things, and something like technology and the like, that's a cause for concern. I mean, it's good that they have the skills to be adaptive, but what are they adapting to is my point, because they're very quickly learning how to be addicts. They're adapting quick to the heroin. And for parents, it's just been as remarkable to see the speed at which they've adapted to keep their children safe online amid the challenges of remote working, intermittent quarantines, and the general uncertainty many of us feel. So, alluding to parents struggling to keep up with these challenges, so the parents are having a tough time. I mean, with the general uncertainty many of us feel, and the anxieties, the stress, the worries. But despite that, somehow the kids are supposed to be all right, and they're doing well with their adaptation. So only the parents are the ones who are struggling here by what this is describing. Let me just shift this down. You're not going to really. I'm trying to see what you can see on the camera. I'm not sure if you could really pick this up. As the digital world continues to evolve for our children, we as parents must continue to evolve with it. Yes, I suppose that's kind of true. I mean, you want to try and keep up with your kids if you can. With that in mind, but this is the thing, you want to keep up with your kids, but you want to also sort of steer them in the right direction. Like, otherwise the kids are the ones, otherwise they're self-parenting. I mean, what the hell are you doing as a parent if you're just like chasing after them all the time and letting them do whatever it is they want to do? You don't give the keys to your car to the kid and say, there you go, have a good time, and I'll follow the carnage behind you. With that in mind, here's a breakdown of trends we're seeing in schools for parents to be mindful of, so they are best equipped to ensure that their children are their children can safely enjoy all the fantastic benefits technology has to offer. Yeah, I'm not denying that technology isn't great and has its advantages, but just because it's there doesn't necessarily mean you should take it or do it. I mean, like, especially if it's unmonitored or unregulated or isn't checked, and the parents are, as you were saying in the previous sort of paragraph, like, they have no idea what's going on. They're in a world of confusion. I mean, the kids can easily lie, but are you doing your homework? And oh yes. And meanwhile, they're hacking into whatever sort of officials' websites. Then you get a knock on the door. Now, in this big kind of catch your attention, 10 years of digital parenting. Statistic time. In 2012, A quarter of kids aged 8 to 12 had a profile on MySpace and Bebo. RIP Foursquare. I don't know what Foursquare is. I'm guessing it's like something similar. But the alarming part is 1 in 4 between the ages of 8 and 12 had a MySpace profile, apparently. 1 in 4, that's quite reminds you of another statistic. Wasn't there a statistic about personality disorders? 1 in 4 has a personality disorder or something like that. Is there a correlation? Maybe, maybe not. But it's quite alarming. And that was in 2012, 1 in 4. Early year trends, independent use increasing. Independent use increasing. Another alarm bell. And then so that's the early, that's like nursery. And then over here we've got primary school trend. This is where my kid fits in. Yes, you. Where it says rules relaxed. But so very young age, nursery. This would be like up to the ages of, over here in the UK, up to the ages of about 5. With many of us parents juggling remote working with busy family lives, children are spending more and more time using devices independently. Is that good or bad? What am I supposed to think of that? As a parent, I would feel ashamed. I would feel embarrassed. But the way this is portrayed, it almost sounds like trying to make it sound empowering. Like, aren't the kids like little miniature adults at the ages of less than 5? Wonderful. They're so independent at such a young age. How inspiring. A trend that we have seen as a result is that preschool age children are increasingly being exposed to harmful content that may be sexual, violent, include bad language, or otherwise be inappropriate. Now, I'm glad to see this a little bit of an acknowledgement. This happens most often when young children are left alone using video streaming platforms in particular. So there's no, like, this would warrant a time for a bit of shaming, like bad on you, parent, because you're left alone. They're independent as a result, and they're exposed to the harmful content, and it's increasing. Does it say anything that this is a problem about that we should maybe put a halt, or that how much more important it is that as a parent you step in here because this is increasing? So what should I do? Now, does it say, it doesn't say anything about step in. It says parental controls are a fantastic tool for parents of very young children. So get some digital tool, parental controls, to do your work. So still no responsibility of the parent. Hand it over to parental controls to do what you should be doing. Fantastic tool to help filter out inappropriate content, and please go to their website. So another little plug. Now, can't be too angry with that plug, because if there's no advice anywhere, it needs to be kind of hosted on some sort of platform, or the information needs to be stored somewhere. So if they're doing what I think, if they're doing what I would hope would be responsible, then it's an all right plug. But if it's a plug to get them on their website so that they're buying into subscriptions or something like that, then it's dodgy. We recommend teaching children from a young age that it's not their fault if they unintentionally come across upsetting content online. Of course, it's not their fault. It's your fault as a parent, but they don't say that here. So try not to shame the child or tell them off or blame them for going onto such places, but continue and just use parental controls. Then all will be well. Nothing to worry about. If only it was that simple. Because remember, they said earlier over here about adapting. So you put a parental control in place, what is the kid going to do with their skill? They're going to adapt. And what is a parent going to do in response? They're in confusion land, and they can't even keep up with the kid adapting. It's like the Borg. Not not that the children are the Borg, but you know, it's a cat and mouse game or something like that. You're chasing after the kids are adapting quicker than you can even work out what they're doing, and there's you trying to cut them off with your parental controls. Don't be surprised if the kid somehow turns that parental control and is controlling you as the parent, denying you to be able to implement those parental controls. These would be like the child controls. Anyway, maybe I'm getting a bit carried away. So it's not their fault they come across upsetting content online. And that most important thing is that they come and talk to their parents for support. How many kids are actually doing that? If the kids comes across something, I mean, how are they to know that it's inappropriate in the first place? They're watching Squid Games thinking it's hilarious, and they're spreading it around the playground with one another. They're not really coming up to the parent and saying, I saw something terrible, and you need to stop me from watching that thing that I want to watch. I mean, don't be stupid. So that's the nursery age. Primary school. Rules relaxed. We have noted a marked increase in the number of children using social media. Messaging apps and games rated for a much older audience at our primary schools. According to research from the Office of National Statistics, half of parents said they had to relax rules about what their child did online during the first lockdown. So according to this, half the parents during the lockdown relaxed their rules. That's bonkers. I mean, whew, I'm going to need to take some pills or something here in a minute. I don't understand this. I don't understand how they can't see this as a problem, or they're blasé. They seem to think that, like, there is an element, like devil's advocate. There is an element where there's a story about a magician's apprentice, and the master, the wizard, he goes away for a period of time, and while he says to the apprentice, while I'm gone, basically, like, don't make a mess, don't mess things up. I expect everything to be orderly when I come back. So he comes back, and the whole place is upside down. And instead of lecturing the kid and telling the kid the apprentice off, he says, "I guess it's time I taught you." So the moral of the story there is, you shouldn't. If a child wants to learn something, you shouldn't shelter them, because that doesn't really help you. That's a signal to you that it's time to educate them. Now, I guess that's kind of what they're sort of suggesting here. It's like, we're not going to be able to stop these kids going on digital things, but we need to be able to teach them to be more responsible about it. But I just don't know. It's also a combination of, like, it seems as if the genie has been let out of the bottle, and how are you going? I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a bit too much here. I don't know. Let's continue. Where were we? Games. Half the parents relaxed the rules during the lockdown, and from the conversations we're having, it seems many parents are yet to revert to pre-pandemic rules. Are they wanting to revert back to pre-pandemic rules? Because they are yet. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the the goal or the intention is here. Because the cynic in me is like this, that this is smoke and mirrors. Many parents have faced pressure to ensure their children are entertained and socialized since the start of the pandemic. So since the pandemic, they've been encouraging the children to go on. Not only have they relaxed the rules, but they've been encouraging the children, hey, go have a Facebook account, go have a MySpace, go socialize, do it. Save me a lot of grief and bother having to spend time with you. I'm busy whilst doing my other projects. Perhaps allowing them to have a social media account earlier than planned. Well, there you are. So these parents are in favor of allowing the kids to have a social media account earlier than planned. Thank you, pandemic. Sadly, while this has many benefits, we've spoken to numerous children who've experienced issues such as online bullying and grooming. What's a little bit of grooming, hey? Or a little bit of bullying? Nothing wrong with that. You see what I mean? So you want to. So what are you supposed to do? What is it? What do you want? Like, maybe it was a bad idea. I mean, the other person at the start was saying they're always making mistakes. So have we got a bit of regret here when using these sort of platforms at such a young age? Yes, because the children are now gone. I didn't do any. I haven't read this bit because there's no highlights here. So what should I do? Remind yourself of the age restrictions across social media platforms and messaging apps, as well as PEGI, or Pan-European Game Information ratings for video games. It could be helpful to use these as a guide, but by no means can they be relied upon to prevent someone underage from accessing digital platforms. If your child is using social media, messaging apps, or games rated for older users at primary school age, and you aren't feeling confident that they are fully aware of the risks, it may be time to rethink the boundaries you have in place and have an open conversation about some of your concerns. So that's like a little oops. That could have been prevented had you done a little bit of forethought, pre-thinking, preemptive strike. But like, considered is this a good idea? We'll find. We'll make it a problem, and then if it's a problem, then we'll say something about it or try to rectify it. Now I could tell you, like, with the increase in autism, if we couple that with this talk here, once addicts are hooked, it's very hard to pull them off. And to have meltdowns or tantrums, it's very tempting for parents to cave in under the pressure and be like, fine, you can have your iPad, and perhaps this is what they're saying with that pandemic, that they've had to relax the rules because the damage was already done and the kids are already hooked. They're already exposed way before you even had any inclination of what was going on. They were probably getting hooked because the parent themselves is hooked on their phones, and they're watching mummy and daddy on their phones and gallivanting on the digital landscape, and they're thinking that this is normal. I want a mobile phone. Now I'm sure the older viewers watching today, like when I had my first mobile phone, I was already in college. So that would be like the ages of, I suppose, maybe 16 would have been the youngest, but it might have been maybe late 16s, 17 years old was when I had my first phone. And it was a basic, it wasn't like a, what the old fashioned phones are, basically text messaging and phone calls. So no YouTube or any of that. We're going to skip through some of this because it's just a bit abysmal, but there was a bit here somewhere. I'm sure we'll find some other nuggets of insight. Where was it? Something I thought Good Mother would enjoy hearing. Well, where was it? How to get the most out of your phone's camera. You know? Digital grandparenting. Where was it? Don't tell me it was right at the end. Did I was on the last page? Or did I not mark it? Oh, I think I didn't mark it down. Where was it? If I remember, it was sort of on a reddish. How to be an ally online. Ah, yeah, this looks familiar. Somewhere. Is this the paragraph? 2015, finding your tribe on social. Oh no, wait. 2011, the blooming of parent power online. Oh, there's a glare. I'll try and move it so it's out of the glare. Now, this is an interesting one. So, Instagram, Facebook, and the iPad were all launched in 2010. That year, the general election was labeled the Mums Net election. The Mums Net election. So, women. After the main parties ran adverts on the parenting site as it was celebrating his birthday in recognition of the platform's power and by extension that of mothers. What do you think of that? So was this push for parent power online, was that thanks to mothers then? So do we have them to thank for all of this? Because presumably, not to sound too stereotypical, but dad's away at work, mum's with the kids trying to do her other projects, so she has the time for these devices and surfing the interweb. And so this is mother's harebrained idea to make it more to empower this avenue so that it frees up her time, so that she can, well, do whatever it is she wants to be doing, whilst, you know, the man, if there is a man in oh, I see a question. How is the date from D-Man? Question, Billy. How is the date 2011 and yet mentions of pre-scamdemic? Well, it would show, it would infer that this was going on before the pandemic. It's just when the pandemic came along, that was kind of like a blessing from their point of view, was like a blessing in disguise, or a golden opportunity to really set thing to really hand over the keys to the kids and be like, you know what, kids, even more reason now you should be independent with your iPads and devices, because we're in lockdown. I mean, I suspect it's because now the kids were locked indoors with mum, maybe dad if he's there. It was doing her nothing, and she's kind of like, yeah, here, go keep yourself busy. I don't know. I don't want to get too like flame wars, but they're trying to give themselves a pat on the back and be like, but they're also sort of revealing as well. That's the kind of funny when you look into the topics of narcissism, kind of funny thing where they're a little bit oblivious at what they're doing and end up spilling the beans. But they try and make it sound as if it's a good thing. I mean, the mayor of London, Sadiq Khan, is in the middle of all of that. So for a balanced perspective, obviously he's a guy, but he's making a ass of himself, um, and putting his foot in it, but trying to brush it off as if he's noble, as if he's heroic, as if he's doing what's good for everyone, when everyone is like, no, we hate this and we hate you. So it's kind of, if it didn't have such dire consequences and people's lives weren't being affected, it would be funny. So 23 pages of this. I don't know if it's worth me really reading any more of it. I think we get the general idea. I feel generally saddened if this is what if this is the world that we're creating, or this is what we're having to come to. You know, there may come a point when the kids will be so enamored or loved with their digital devices, because they look at their computers as parents, as more parental figures than their actual biological parent, that a cutoff may come along where the kids just tell the parents, the biological parent, to be like, or guardian care or whoever, to F off, and they'd rather be in the company of a screen, you know, and they will truly be lost. I mean, I almost feel like they already are lost, but it's very disheartening. You know, and I wasn't expecting to receive this brochure. Like, recently in the other streams, you heard me getting a bit annoyed with some of the other kind of policies they're putting forward, and then to have this thrown on my lap, out of the blue, I wasn't expecting it. It's this bombardment. And generally, I mean, on the one hand, I can see a semi need, like I was saying earlier, that in dire situations, yes, maybe we can't ignore the fact that there are benefits. There are parents and children who aren't able to see each other, but this is the thing: they're not talking about having maybe with a FaceTime with your grandparents, but they're not talking about being able to bridge the gap between child and parent. They're just talking about kids gallivanting on social media with their friends and trolling one another. You know, I found out because my kid's school had set up a Google account for my kid. Automatically, my kid now has a YouTube channel as a byproduct. You know, and so in my house, for the record, like zero iPad or computer unless I'm supervising, because especially with an autistic kid, you know, if they're on it, they're hooked, and it adds to the stimulation, you know, like the roller coaster, the ecstasy sets her up for a huge downfall later afterwards. It increases hyperactivity. It makes her worse. And if you try and say, hey, how about you use it more responsibly? F that, Dad. You know, I'm gonna be watching Nukes. I'm gonna be watching Minecraft or these other crazy things that I'm having to battle. I mean, as a parent, like being a parent is a time-consuming, you know, energy taking sort of endeavor. Fine, it comes with the duties or responsibilities of a parent, but I should not have to be now having to allocate energy, attention to this nonsense. Get it out of my face, throw it in the bin. I don't want to see it anymore. I do not want to be bothered with this nonsense when it comes to trying to raise my kid. And then there won't be an issue. There won't be a problem. You know? So say no to it is my message. If you can't regulate it, if you can't control your kid about it, and in my case, I'm having to do battle with an iPad or a computer or a laptop or whatever. She's talking to me about she wants a mobile phone, and I'm thinking, who the hell are you going to be phoning? You're only 9 years old. The answer is no. You're not getting a phone. Stop bugging me about that. It's dinner time. If you want, you can help chop up the garlic. You know, now that might sound a bit harsh, mean, boring, or something like that, but my kid will learn far more and have a better connection. Like, we were playing football in the rain, in the mud, because she had that obsession, like she wants to go. I want to go out. I want to go out. I didn't want to go out because it was raining and it was getting dark. But like, fine, we'll go out. She wants to go to the park. All right. So her shoes are covered in mud. She wasn't too happy about that. A little bit of a meltdown about her shoes being dirty. But regardless, life experience, feel the weather, be in touch with the real world. Never mind your computer. You'll have a more lasting memory, even if it's a bad one, that you spent time in the rain playing football with your dad than you did thinking, oh, your dad was never there for you because he just gave you an iPad to palm you off and keep you occupied, like, because you're a burden on him. I don't know what kind of message other parents want to tell their children, but that's not the message I want to tell my kid. You know. So that's my rant, my worry and concern. And that's about it. So we'll leave it there. Until next time, I'm sure there'll be something they're going to try and feed us. But until then, I hope everyone has well been chat and been any quick questions? Okay, so we'll enjoy your week, and I'll see you again soon. Adios.